Hello and welcome to today's webinar, Application Awareness with the Power to Take Action. Today's webinar is brought to you by Gigamon and produced by Actual Tech Media. My name is David Davis of Actual Tech Media, and I'm excited to be your moderator on today's event. I'm honored to introduce our special guest today. That is Mr. Bassam Khan, Vice President of Product and Technical Marketing Engineering at Gigamon. Bassam, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure, Dave.
All right, before we get started, just a little bit of housekeeping here to cover. First off, we want this to be a really educational webinar, so we encourage any and all questions using the GoToWebinar questions box. Throughout the webinar, we have technical experts available to answer all of your technical questions, and we'll have a dedicated Q&A session at the end of the event. Second, I want to point out that we have a $300 Tango gift card to give away to one lucky attendee on the live event today. If you're watching this webinar on demand, I'm sorry, the drawing has already occurred for that. If you haven't heard of Tango gift cards and you're wondering what exactly is that, I should point out that Tango gift cards can be exchanged for gift cards from just about all the leading retailers today: Amazon, Apple, Best Buy, restaurants. You can even donate them to charity, and they never expire. So it's even better than having a gift card from just a single place, because you can get a gift card to just about anywhere you want with the Tango gift card, and that's why we've chosen to start giving them away. The official prize terms and conditions for today's prize drawing can be found at actualtechmedia.com. Scroll to the bottom and you'll find the link there to our legalese, prize term and condition drawing info. And with that, it's time to do a little level setting before we kick it off with today's presentation. So I've got three numbers here on the screen: 7.6, 196, and 69. And you might be wondering, what exactly are these numbers? Well, the 7.6 is actually $7.6 million. And pretty incredibly, that's the average cost of a data breach today. And you can imagine that cost is even more than the revenue, the yearly revenue of a small business for the entire year. So a single data breach could easily put a company out of business, as you can imagine. The 196 number is the average number of days that it takes to identify a data breach. And that's pretty scary to think that, potentially 6 months ago, your company could have been breached already, and it still hasn't yet been identified. And in that time, data has been streaming out and being sold to the highest bidder. And then finally, the 69 number is the time to mitigate a breach. It's 69 days on average that it takes a company to actually get rid of a data breach and resolve it. I mean, you can imagine, what if you went to the doctor and the doctor said it's going to take 69 days, for you to get well? That's a long time to get rid of, something that's plaguing your company, in this case, a data breach. So those are some scary statistics I actually pulled down from securityintelligence.com before this event, and I was pretty surprised at the numbers myself. Now, this is a really cool ransomware graphic, actually my favorite ransomware graphic that I've found, because I'm a big Lego fan, and I can actually imagine Darth Vader, doing a ransomware attack on the rebels to try to take them down. But the point of showing you this is that, ransomware is everywhere. It's hitting every company, small and large. It's even hitting, us as individuals on our home network. Our home data and finances, are being attacked every day. So, what's the solution to this? What can we do as IT professionals to protect our company's most critical data? Well, there's a few things. The first thing is, we really need to gain complete visibility. If we don't have visibility across what's going on the network and the events, the security events that are happening, and the traffic flows and the application dependencies, who's talking to who, first off, we're not going to know what's normal and what isn't normal. And then once we know that, we need to be able to identify, what's abnormal, what's wrong on the network. And that's why we need that complete visibility. And it's even more complicated today than, in the past. Today, we have applications that are multi-tiered and spanning across our on-premises data center and up into, multiple hybrid clouds in some cases, and even software as a service applications. Second, we need control. We need to be able to immediately take action to mitigate, when we find something that's abnormal in our data center or in our infrastructure. And then finally, we need some sort of extensibility, because once we have this data, in most cases, there's not one single tool that can that's the silver bullet that can fix everything. So we need solutions that can help us to share insight with all of our data loss prevention and security insight tools. And so I'm thankful today that we have our special presenter on, Mr. Basan Khan from Gigamon. Before I hand it over to Basan, I want to ask the audience out there a poll question. So the poll question should be on your screen. The question is, what kinds of out-of-band network inspection tools do you currently use? So the options here are IDS, intrusion detection system, could be like a source fire or a tipping point, ATD, advanced threat detection like FireEye or Last Line, could be forensic tools like NetWitness or InfiniStream, or network analytics tools like Darktrace or others. And just select, you have to, I believe this is a single select question. Perhaps it should have been set up as a multi-select question now that I look at it. Apologies for that if you're not able to select multiple, but we'll be
Let's pick the most important one.
Yeah, select the most important one. And I'm going to share the response of this. Looks like we've got most of the audience voting. Let's get a few more votes coming in. And it looks like 30% said IDS, followed by 25% using ATD systems. Basan, what do you think?
This is very consistent with what we're seeing out there. So security is a big use case for collecting all the data in one place and feeding it in. ATD, and then network analysts being one of the really important areas as well. Forensics is something used by a smaller group of audience. So it's not surprising that that number is a little bit smaller, but very much in line with what we're seeing out there as well. And by the way, Dave, it's actually a good thing that we make this a multiple single choice. This allows us to force people to get the most important answer.
Okay, excellent. Well, with that, I'm excited to hand it over to you and hear about what's new at Gigamon. Let me make you the presenter.
Thanks, Dave. While my screen is coming up, hi everybody. Again, my name is Basan, and I look after product and technical marketing engineering here at Gigamon. Very excited to be here. This presentation, I aligned to be as close to the title as possible. So we're going to be hearing exactly what the title is, which is Application Visibility with the Power to Take Action. As I go forward in my screen. So the agenda for today, we're going to look at what we mean by visibility, what we mean by action, and what is an application from a networking and network packet brokering perspective. And then we're going to pull it all together with a demonstration that shows application visibility with the power to take action. So trying to be very aligned here. So jumping first into visibility, whose network looks like this? It's very peaceful, everything is in order, nothing out of place there. Probably very few of you, and those of you that have done this, you probably are Marie Kondo fans. For the rest of us who are not, whose networks do not bring us joy, our networks look more like this. We've got some physical, some virtual, some cloud networks, and subnets within, segmentations within. We've got all kinds of data that's flowing. Some of that we're aware of, what kind of data is being transmitted over our network. Some we're not. We are not 100% sure what applications are being supported. There could be something that's been a vestige of a 10-year-old application that's still out there. And then users, many different kinds of users coming in, whether there's employees and including partners as well. So this is sort of prime breeding ground for threats coming in and lurking in the shadows of my network. And this should not be news to anybody. So what happens is we bring in all kinds of tools to help mitigate the threats and protect as much as possible. Every company that we walk into, the network looks like this, the challenges look like this. And that's where Gigamon comes in. Wouldn't it be nice if we had a single place where we have full visibility across the entire network. So Dave talked a lot about security, and having full visibility really is the intersection between what happens with security. I'm not sure why it's advancing. I'm going to go back. Hopefully we'll stay on that slide. Okay, it tends to advance out of the slide. And that's where security and networking NetOps teams come together. So that's a really important part to know is the fact that having full visibility makes security much, much better because you cannot protect what you cannot see. So it's really important to have not have any blind spots. There's another aspect about growing encrypted traffic that's really, really important in this space as well. And working with security, and I'm assuming most of us on this call are NetOps people, can be a little bit challenging, right? In the way security tends to mandate different requirements and demand visibility. Gigamon and what we're going to look at, having good visibility, really takes security a long way from not having a system like this in place.
Bassam, if you don't mind, let me ask you a question here. I've heard a lot that companies are really using HTTP and HTTPS, and it's kind of like the new TCP, where everything is a web-based app these days. And so I'm curious, when we talk about network visibility with the port numbers, that people have kind of come to rely on for network visibility and application identification not being as useful anymore, does Gigamon have a solution for that?
Right. So yes, we do. So to your first point around growth of SSL traffic, our customers are seeing that in spades. I was just reading this Google report recently. So they looked at 100 top websites, actually a lot more than 100, but they said report based on 100. 89 of the top 100 websites are encrypted HTTPS traffic by default. And that report also had multiple statistics on the growth of SSL traffic, and it's rapid. So even within the past 3-4 years, the level of encrypted traffic has gone up like crazy.
What about
another question, Dave? Or,
yeah, what
sorry.
about the jump to 100 gig networking? I mean, have you seen companies really adopting that? And if they are, what's the impact to security and network visibility?
Right. So another statistics that came out from EMA analyst firm recently talked about 49% of the of IT in general will be at 100 gig or will be performing the network upgrades this year. So by the end of 2019, 49, so half of enterprises, organizations will be 100 gig level of interaction. So that is going to be, so that is something that's definitely coming. That's going to be a little bit of a challenge to an environment from a tools perspective. Because today, when you look at our network, we pretty much have it optimized in our own messy way, but in a functional way, so that all our tools can handle the level of traffic coming in. As soon as we upgrade the backplane or any part of the network with faster traffic, what we've seen in our customers that we go into to talk to, it tends to disrupt what's working today by unexpected factors. So this IDS fire I have in place was scoped up to be this much, but just by moving this one segment to 100 gig network, it overloaded this one area because now other tools are able to generate more traffic and our other endpoints. So it's a little bit of a balance. There's quite a bit of balancing that's going on. So 100 gig network is coming, but it's also going to be impacting the tools quite a bit.
Okay, very nice.
Okay. One of the questions you also touched on earlier, David, I didn't get a chance to answer around non-standard ports, and that is a attacker's favorite vector of sending traffic over a different TCP port than what it's supposed to be. And so when you hardwire your environment to assuming that all of your application X traffic is coming on this port 1037, that's not always reliable. So understanding what applications run, getting visibility into applications in your network is a really, really important part of overall visibility and security effectiveness. So I have one slide on Gigamon here, and I'm going to jump straight into it. So what Gigamon and Gigamon basically allows you to do is, by setting up taps into the entire environment, we're able to have a standard data access model for all of the tools out there. So we simply become the tap. We're collecting all the data. We're aggregating the data, and sending it off to any tool that's in your environment. So it's a much, and it really is a Marie Kondo way of looking at your network. I hate to keep bringing this up, but my house has been very different in the past couple of weeks because my wife's been watching the show. And so I'm a little bit, it's top of my mind right now, this is say. And Marie Kondo, by the way, is not a one-person thing, it's a family-wide thing, in case anyone is going to be in the country going forward. So all the traffic comes in, gets aggregated, and a number of functions are performed on that traffic. And I'm going to dive in the next couple of slides on what these actions are. Dave, any questions, thoughts you have before I move forward?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm curious. Every time I look at an architectural diagram like this, I'm wondering, is this a hardware solution or a software solution? How does this work exactly? Right.
So Gigamon has many different ways of deploying Gigamon. So one is a physical hardware. So we have three form factors, HC1, HC2, HC3. That's our main, that's a core product. So these are, rack, 1 RU, 2, 3 RU rack units that you would set up in a data center. Then we have lightweight boxes that are basically tapped, that are taps, the TAs, that could be deployed anywhere in the network. So that's the physical. We also have virtual versions of the entire solution, and we also have cloud versions of the entire solution. So whichever way our customers want to deploy, they have full flexibility. The real value comes in is if anybody, or even greater value comes in if anybody has a hybrid type of an environment, where some applications are physical, some are running in private clouds, some are running in public clouds. We aggregate all of that visibility to one place, which makes all the tools much more powerful. And I guess from a security perspective, it's much more, sleep better at night kind of a thing, knowing that we are able to see what's going on in the network.
Okay, yeah, and that's what I hear companies are moving to, is a much more hybrid, scenario, and applications are running across different data centers and across the public cloud. And so it's great that you all provide that single place to aggregate the data. And another term that catches my eye on here is inline bypass. What is that exactly?
Good question. So tools are often rolled out either inline or out of band. I'm going to go back a couple of slides here. So some of these tools, like a intrusion prevention system, has to be rolled out inline, because they will see all the traffic coming in. They will analyze the traffic and determine that this session that Bassam is going to is a known bad site, or he's just downloaded a known bad piece of malware. And so that has to be rolled out inline, that tool. A lot of tools are out of band as well, which are things like an IDS system, for example, because of many reasons. It's better for them to process these things offline. Inline bypass means, rather than plugging in each of these tools down the wire, so you can picture almost like a Christmas tree lights kind of a thing, where everything is daisy chained, everything to be inline. What you're able to do is deploy Gigamon in an inline fashion. So we sit inline, then we will send that traffic to, let's say, an IPS tool inline as well. We will receive that traffic back from that IPS tool, and we'll forward it down to the next elements, the next tools. And you can daisy chain as many of these tools as you want. The benefit here, Dave, is that if one of these tools goes down, then Gigamon will take care of the failover and such, and we'll pass that request onward without bringing down the entire network. The other big use case that our customers really benefit from is the fact that you can test out new tools much easier than you would otherwise, not having Gigamon in place inline. What that means is, for example, if you have a new IPS tool, a new amazing ML-based some kind of an inline tool, AI-based tool for security. To roll that out, most IT organizations have to call out, a weekend outage report and come in over the weekend, put the tool in line and run tests or run tests in a lab. With us, you can plug in all of these tools side by side. You can put one before the other if they're and get a real apples to apples comparison to look at the effectiveness of these different tools. So POCing new tools becomes much, much easier having a platform that's in line, that's dishing out the traffic.
Okay, so you all are smart enough, I guess I'll say, to send this information out that you aggregate out to kind of the best of breed tools. You all aren't the silver bullet that tries to do all of these things in a single tool. Is that right?
That's correct. So our mission in life is to serve the data in as clean way as possible to all of these tools. We do not do any of the anti-malware, DLP, or any of this functionality, which kind of brings us a good point. So there's one aspect of Gigamon where we felt it was very necessary to, based on the data that we're tracking, to offer the ability to hunt for some threats that's lurking based on network metadata, based on network data. So there is one tool that we have. It's called Insight. So the idea here, Dave, is that Gigamon delivers all the data in a clean fashion to all the different tools. So we empower the tools to see a lot more east-west traffic than was otherwise possible. So intra-company traffic than possible. So we empower the tools to become much, much more powerful, much, much better visibility. However, prevention is not 100% foolproof. Things get through. So Insight is the tool that we offer that allows our customers to find and hunt for threats where applicable, where something might have gotten through. So it's a detection and investigation tool. Let me kind of keep on going a little bit here. The second point is what is action, and this is a pretty straightforward story here. So action, this is the middle orange bar that I showed earlier, has a number of different functions. So first thing we do is we clean up the data by reducing. Our typical customers that we go into, because of all the taps and span ports that they tend to stick out there, we see about a 60 to 65% of the packets being duplicate traffic. So that's one of the functions that we offer is data duplication, packet deduplication. Slicing, header stripping are basically just, you may need just the packet header information. In other cases, you might need the payload information. So we have that as well. Masking basically allows our customers to mask parts of a packet, parts of traffic going through. So it's very applicable for especially our healthcare customers that may have some HIPAA type of information or PCI for credit card information for other customers as well. So credit card information. So we have the ability to mask the data. So when the data goes into all the different tools, it's being hidden, and compliance is much, much easier to implement in a centralized way from that perspective than having each of the tools perform the function and then having each of the tools get audited and so on. And filtering basically says that we're able to let our customers filter out traffic from whatever the tool is. So if somebody, for example, has I don't know, let's say a video that they're watching that may or may not be necessary for a DLP system to see if anyone's kind of taking any files out of the system and pointing over to a video stream. Deployment is the different options that people use to deploy Gigamon or get it in production. So one of those, as we talked about, Dave, is inline. So when we don't have to be inline, we could be an out-of-band tool as well. But being inline basically allows us to make it much easier for our customers to be able to plug in the different tools as they see fit. So it's just almost like a power strip that you have, and it's much easier to not deal with span port contentions and other types of issues. Tool load balance is kind of cool because we're sending all the traffic to the different tools. We have a pretty good understanding of what the capacity of these tools are. So when something is overloaded, we're able to take action and send different types of traffic or different levels of traffic to the different tools that are processed that have lighter levels of load or heavier levels of load. So when you say send all my email traffic to these 4 proof point boxes or whatever else it might be, we're able to say, okay, this one's being overloaded, so we're going to send it off to the next one of those boxes. Tunneling, I'm going to go through a little bit faster now. Tunneling port activation just makes you much, much easier to say, for example, port activation, much, much easier to say, all of DCC ports are used for this function. I want to send all these this aggregate of ports over to these tools and this aggregate of ports to those tools and so on. Enhancement is adding intelligence to the traffic itself. So we have a module that generates NetFlow data, so there's NetFlow metadata. We also have SSL decryptor, and which is kind of cool, actually. It's something you touched on earlier, Dave, which is because we're in line, we can decrypt once and send it to all the different tools for analysis, and then decrypt the traffic on the way out. So today, without a solution like Gigamon, you're probably having to decrypt all the SSL traffic, and then we talk about the increase of SSL traffic in each of the different tools. So it's very costly. There was a study done, I think, by NSS Labs not that long ago that talked about, they looked at a popular next-gen firewall environment, sent in SSL traffic, and their throughput dropped by 80 something, almost 90%. So SSL decryption is a very heavy, CPU-heavy, expensive function to perform. To make every single tool in your network and every instance of every single tool in your network perform that gets to be very, very expensive. And we actually have a lot of customers right now in production that are using us to decrypt once, send the traffic to all the tools, get the traffic back, and re-encrypt on the way back to the destination. So it's a pretty powerful way to centralize that function. So all of these functions basically allow us to send very clean data to the tools. If you remember the previous diagram where we showed how all the tools lined up from a messy network, and this is exactly what we're doing to get a cleaner data out there. Make sense, Dave?
Yeah, it does. I'm curious, a couple things here. Why would a network, monitoring tool need load balancing?
Yeah, good question. So I touched on this a little bit earlier. Let me dive a little bit more into it. So basically, what happens is tools have limits on what they can handle. So let's say SSL. So if a particular tool is geared for 10 gigs of traffic, that's what it's scoped for. As soon as let's say our customer has not rolled out Gigamon SSL, that tool is having to decrypt the traffic. So all of a sudden we go from 10 gig to maybe 5 gig, much slower according to NSS Labs, but some n number that's smaller than 10 gigs of traffic. So we at Gigamon are able to detect what the tool is able to handle. And once the tool starts to get overloaded, then we can throttle the traffic or bypass the traffic, and there's multiple options that our customers have to make sure the tool doesn't get overloaded. Because of the variety of the types of traffic that the tools process, and one good example is the encrypted versus non-encrypted, the 10 gigs that any vendor will tell you about is always unencrypted traffic, clear traffic. But because the traffic is mixed, some encrypted, some unencrypted, that number varies a lot. So there's a strong need for the packet brokers to say, this is the amount of traffic that we're going to send to this box, and this is what we're going to go let bypass and so on. Okay. So that's the purpose. Okay. So moving on, the last set of slides is what is application. So from our perspective, this is where I kind of jump into this capability around application intelligence. So there's a strong need to understand what applications are running in your network. And there's many ways of solving, there's not many, there's a couple of ways of solving the problem that's being pretty widely deployed out there. The first one is the hardwire apps. And this is something you mentioned earlier, Dave, where this TCP port, or actually this physical port, is only going to be running this database application. So I'm going to physically hardwire the port to that server. There might be cases where I write regular expressions to identify the application based on network traffic. So I see what the traffic's going by, and this is the pattern of this particular application. Typically basic NetFlow. NetFlow does a lot of things, but typically there's not enough information in there to confidently identify that this is what the application actually is, and be able to take that action according to what that application should be, we should be doing with that application. Now, all of this leads to management nightmare sometimes, because applications get rolled out all the time. We tend to move servers around. We tend to change the network around. So keeping track of application based on physical level is very, very difficult. And even further, application protocol changes over time. So if you look at any public applications, or any cloud application like Salesforce or even like YouTube, they're always changing the protocols. If I write a pattern recognition mechanism, there's a very good chance in 6 months from now, we're going to see that's not going to function. It's not going to be able to correctly identify the applications because the applications themselves have changed the way that they run. And which all means that, and this, again, there's another point Dave you touched on earlier, and thank you for bringing up all of these topics, is malware that's in a network, within a network, tends to use, first of all, encrypted traffic, and secondly, usually they don't basically go over the same port that is typically assigned. So let's say there's an SSH traffic, I forget, SSH was port 20, TCP port 20 or 22, that might be sent over a different port, let's say 443. So port spoofing and port lying is always a very, very common attack vector for these malware that tries to communicate with the CNC, command and control. So at the end of the day, what this all means is we end up with not being able to identify applications or spending too much time doing that and not having enough visibility. So that's what we do here at Gigamon. So basically, I'm going to be jumping into this application in the demo phase, but what we have is layer 7 application visibility at a packet broker level. So we are able to identify many, many different applications, over 3,000 different applications that are grouped into families. So you can take individual actions on a single application or a family of applications. You may have a policy that says all social networking applications have to go through these set of tools, or should get sent to this port, TCP port for handling in such and such fashion. We're not doing the enforcement in the sense that we're not saying that block all the social media traffic. Somebody else, some other element in the tool ecosystem will do that. But what we'll do is identify the application to say that this is Twitter, this is Facebook, and so on. And a lot of our customers have their own custom applications, and so you're also able to define your custom applications. So as we're identifying your network traffic and providing instant visibility into what that traffic is with applications, your application shows up alongside all of these other 3,000 applications. Okay. So how do we do this? We do this through pattern matching. So we have behind this product a very large team of researchers that are constantly keeping an eye on the applications. As I mentioned, the protocols change over time, and so the updates are coming in, and the system is able to keep up and correctly identify all the applications. And one thing that's really important to mention here, Dave, is this is deep packet powered. It's powered by deep packet in the backend, so we're actually looking inside the packets. There are some solutions out there that may kind of identify a few hundred, let's say 300-400 different applications, but beyond that, it becomes a port-based identification, which is really bad, because any malware is not going to show up as an application, and malware communication is going to be spoofing using different ports that it's supposed to actually use. And so port-based, if you're looking at the solution, just make sure that that whatever you're putting out there is looking at the packets and not relying on ports. The cool thing, and this is the I forget what the word was, action part, I guess, of the title of this presentation, is around what to do with the traffic afterwards. And that's what I'm going to be jumping into a little bit in the demo section next. So that's basically it for my presentation. I was going to jump into the demo. Let's see if you have any questions that we need to answer. Dave, I don't know if you had to do, oh, I'm sorry. Before we get to that, I have one more slide. So this is a visual of what I just talked about, application extraction. So what we're doing with this capability with Gigamon is you can see all the traffic coming in. It's really important, not just north-south traffic, but it's also east-west. It's also internal traffic. We're able to get the traffic and be able to say, here's all the SAP traffic, and identify application by application, and extract that traffic out, or families of applications. At that point, it's up to our customers to decide where they want to send the application. There might be some threat detection tools where even a safe application like YouTube might be used for command and control communications. There's an interesting example, Dave, of this malware. I forget the name, that was using YouTube or different services on YouTube to do its command and control communication, where it would post in the comment field of a video that was determined by the attacker, by the cyber criminal, to post a comment, a cryptic message as a comment on a video, and that comment would have information that it's trying to communicate out from within the internet, coming over just a comment field on a popular website. So some tools may want to see even the quote-unquote safe traffic, and there's some tools like YouTube, like a DLC, for example, may not care too much about Spotify traffic, let's say. So you will not need to send that over to every one of your tools. So having this ability to extract application and take very intelligent decisions on applications and prioritize applications becomes a pretty powerful story, powerful capability. It also is very, very relevant for shadow IT, where you may have a group of family of applications that are, let's say, Dropbox and GitHub and whatever else it might be part of our set of applications that we're identifying, and treat those in a special way.
Yeah, Bassam, I read a story about companies trying to, they were struggling to block people watching Netflix on company time. Is this something that Gigamon could help with?
It's certainly something that we can help with. We will identify this is Netflix as well as Hulu and 14 other. I'm just coming up with the number 14 streaming video service. It's up to our customers on how they what their policies are. So we will identify the traffic. We will send that to the right port and to the right tools, and customers use typically their own either tools or their own rules that they would use to block or pop up a message, pop up to a different web page, and so on, based on their internal policy.
Okay, and like on this diagram here, this slide, you've got a number of different SaaS applications, Office 365, SAP, things like that, Oracle. I mean, when companies consider moving critical business applications to the web, to a SaaS app, one of the concerns is performance. Can they get consistent performance? Is Gigamon able to, kind of monitor the latency and performance of these SaaS applications?
That's a good question, and the answer is we accelerate or we facilitate your ability to do that by, first of all, identifying all the applications that are running in your network. So, for example, we've had customers that have rolled this out, even in the earlier beta time, when we would say show application, and like, oh, I didn't even know this was running. In our internal network, actually, it's kind of a funny story. One of our technical engineers ran this Bollywood video site that got flagged by, as soon as this was rolled out internally as a beta product. Oh, what is this application? We didn't know that someone was running this application. So the feature identified application that even our own IT didn't know about, and then they decided what kind of policies to take on that. So identifying what applications are running is the first step towards any kind of cloud migration. Is a really, really important step. From actual performance perspective, we provide all the stats to any kind of APM tools, applicant performance monitoring or network performance monitoring tool. So it's done in conjunction with the set of tools. We just enable a much, much deeper visibility into the traffic itself. Okay,
excellent. Well, let's see it in action.
Okay. Should we take any questions, or should we kind of go through the demo? Let me look at the time check here. So let me just go through the demo first, and then we will take. If you have any questions, please do send the questions as we get along, as they come along, and we will take the answers. As I'm typing in the, hold on one second here. My demo, of course, timed out. Let me get the password in.
We do have one question from the field. It's does the tab provide the ability to research traffic routing reports and alerts?
To research traffic routing. Okay. By the way, I'd like to also introduce Bruce McFarland. He is our Director of Product Management for this product, and it's very good to have him here as well. So he'll also help me answer some of these questions. In the sense of research, if the question is about understanding what kind of traffic is running in the network, getting visibility into that traffic, understanding what kind of applications are running into the network, very, very much so. It's what I just mentioned about our own Bollywood app that was running here internally, as well as many, many other applications. That's one of the things our customers, when they turn on this feature, they instantly see value and instantly see the type of traffic that's running. So it allows you to research exactly what applications are running from that perspective. So this is our traffic manager, is sort of the control center for our customers and our entire world. So in this case, we only have one unit configured to run application intelligence. So we have this application intelligence traffic on the left. If I click on that, it takes about 5 seconds for this to ramp up. And this is these are all the applications that are running in our environment right now. So rolling this out is pretty quick, and the value of having this preset understanding of these 3,000 plus applications is super powerful. So first we get to see what kind of applications are running here in our environment, and what the traffic breakdown is. And these are live charts, so they will be updating themselves over time. Of course, you can there's ways of exporting the data out, and if you want to integrate with other tools as well. Shows you the total traffic and some rules that I might have set into place right now. So right now there's just one rule that's applied, and we'll look at that in 1 second as well. On the right side is a listing of all the applications, and right now in our corporate network we have 452 different applications that are running right now. And so this is what becomes really interesting. So as our customers kind of scroll through this page, they're able to see what's going on. And I'm probably the generator of this WebEx traffic right now. If I wanted to, I probably shouldn't take any action on this WebEx traffic, but let's say YouTube. So you can highlight any of these applications that you want and be able to come into, my hover over is blocking, okay. So I'm able to come into the right over here and highlight anyone or select anyone of this traffic and click an operation. So at that point, I can choose to say, I want to take some filtering action on this, and I can say either drop the packets if there's something that's super safe that we feel very, very comfortable about that I don't want to track or whatever reason. Or I can say pass this YouTube traffic into 5 different applications to any number of ports. I'm not going to hit save on this, but at that point I can pass the traffic on, it's already selected. So I can pass the traffic on to any port. So on the other end of the port are the tools that you would want to be processing, or you can have aggregate levels of ports. That's all there is, guys. It's that straightforward. And from a demo perspective, this is the cool power of Gigamon that I'm a big fan of, and not just because I work here, but I've been involved with Gigamon in many different ways from other companies as well, is the simplicity. So at this point, there's just a lot of easy functionality that you can take, and the UI and the capability is deceivingly simple sometimes, but the power is now I'm just able to take actions on very specific applications. So given the time, and I do want to leave some time off at the free at the end for any kind of questions that we might have, but I'll stop the demo here and see if there are other questions that Drew and I can help answer.
We have another write-in. Somebody asked a question. We currently use OpenDNS to do as our web filter, but we're looking for a solution that provides more advanced threat protection. Can I see a demo on how that works in your platform? So let me start off by kind of making sure that we differentiate. What this product does is it's really allowing you to direct what types of traffic are going to your existing tools, like your advanced threat protection tools. So the OpenDNS solution that you talked about there is really intercepting the connections that are going out from your user community and saying, I do want this type of traffic, I don't want that type of traffic. What we're providing is the ability to say, okay, so we've already established that, yeah, we don't mind if our install base goes out and does banking, for example, in their on their own time on their own PC. However, I'm really worried about the PII ramifications of collecting that or storing that information off. So, I've got a forensics tool that I don't want to send this specific banking information to that forensics tool because I don't want to be in a circumstance where I'm being held liable for collecting and harvesting that individual user's data. So, an OpenDNS solution is really there to make sure that you're allowing certain types of traffic or not allowing certain types of traffic to your desktop. What we're talking about is what types of traffic do you allow to go to your tools detection or for performance management, etc. It's a slightly different use case. And in terms of your specific question there, where you're talking about advanced threat protection, we are with this specific product, and I'll let you talk about the other products that we've got. This specific product, is meant to work in combination with maybe some advanced threat protection tools. And if you think, I'm going to talk very generically, so not unfairly single out one particular vendor or another. But usually with ATP solutions, they're primarily interested in looking for malware, or they're looking for command and control, the types of things that malware does, but it's a very malware-focused solution. So as such, they're interested in some very specific types of applications. They're interested in things that could potentially include file transfers, so that they can extract a potential malware sample and identify that. Or they're interested in the types of traffic that might be associated with command and control. And Bassam growing up sort of brought up a very common circumstance where maybe you could even be sending signals by way of looking at a comment on a particular video, and that would be one particular thing. Sometimes people use Twitter. Sometimes people use a number of different different publicly accessible vehicles for being able to do that. What they're not going to be interested in a traditional advanced threat protection tool is email. They've got different types of tools for being able to scan email. So if you're sending your email traffic to your advanced threat protection tool, they're just going to be inspecting it long enough to drop it. So you could potentially pull that traffic off so it can spend more time focused on the things that it's actually interested in, and which is identifying that malware. But those tools traditionally don't care too much about your email traffic. So Office 365, you can drop SMTP, IMAP, or all things that would be good candidates to maybe harvest off of your ATP solution, so that they can focus more on the types of traffic where they're actually able to deliver value.
Right. That's actually a perfect answer. There's a separate Insight product that we have as well. It's up to our customers, depending on the situation. They may or may not have any threat detection and investigation tool, and that's what Insight does. Many of our customers have some other system in place, and Gigamon's focus really is around delivering the data to the right tool, and they have the option of using somebody else's or ours.
So we have another question here, which is, what type of delay or latency does your product add to the network? And in this circumstance, because we're really looking at things out of band, we're not really, in this particular circumstance, we're not in line, so we're not actually adding any latency or delay by doing this type of a function. Let's see here, I'm reading this. Will it work with Java-created video players?
Will it work with Java-created video players? The answer is yes. I am happy to take this offline with the specifics of all the different video players that we have, but Java Flash-based ones as well. I'd have to look through there. I actually did peruse through 3,200 different applications that's in the system. It covers a lot.
Okay. Next question, we have a converged network with multiple locations. Is it possible to, possible to monitor a network on a different subnet?
The answer is absolutely yes. So you would put a tap in, one of our tap appliance basically into that. I'm assuming it's a physical network. So the answer is absolutely yes. And that's the basic function that we serve, is to, rather than have every single tool in your tool stack go out and perform the same data collection, aggregation, tapping and aggregation function, and end up with all kinds of duplicate data and span port issues and contention issues and so on. You would put us out there, we'll centralize it for all the tools.
And then another question. My diverse network workers tend to add apps to smartphones and tablets that they think may help their function. Is this controllable with the visibility platform when they sign in, or is it blocked pending approval? And again, I think the root of that is we're not actually trying to do traffic enforcement with this product. This is really about how we interact with the tools that would actually perform traffic enforcement. So so that would probably be a different tool. You're probably looking for an MDM like or something like that to be able to help in that specific circumstance.
Yeah, the best way to look at Gigamon is we deliver the data. So we'll do some enhancement, we'll do some a lot of cleaning up, but the actual analysis is done by a tool that you would have in your system.
And then finally, let's see, it says, does the application classification or packet inspection feature require any special hardware, or is it just a GigaSmart module?
Great question. Sounds like somebody that knows Gigamon. The answer is it's just a GigaSmart module, and just contact your rep and they will get in touch with you. So I'll probably stop it there. And so Dave, let's kind of go forward. I know you had a couple of things you wanted to talk about as well. But before we get to your point, what I wanted to mention here in summary is this is about application filter intelligence, is what the session was about today. It's deep packet inspection powered identification of over 3,000 applications. And what this really allows you to do is not do a lot of these things manually that you're having to do today to track applications, or have blind spots by not doing those manual steps. And so that's the challenge that most people face. And with Gigamon, you're able to offload this function, see all the applications, have your tools see all that, get that level of visibility into your entire network. So in closing, what I would, from Gigamon's side, I would like to say is give it a try. This is very, very easy to roll out. We've had some of our beta customers, for example, roll this out in less time than it takes to probably drink a cup of coffee or have lunch or whatever. So pretty easy to get this out there. With that, I'm going to hand this back over to you, Dave.
Excellent. Thank you, Bassam. Before we go, I want to announce the winner of today's $300 Tango gift card. That is Melissa Baxter of South Carolina. Congratulations. We'll reach out to you to deliver your prize winning today. So Bassam, before we go, just a few questions. You recommended that the audience out there give it a try, the simple flow mapping. Can you kind of walk us through, what is the process for that? Does someone from Gigamon help them get that started, and how long does that take?
Sure. So there's different ways of engaging with us, and different products, and same product but different deployment options that our customers have. The best thing I would say, Dave, is just to go to our website and contact us. We will walk people through. We have sample appliance, and the sample we have loaner boxes that we'll ship out to customers. Usually the process is a demo. So we'll set up a call, show you the product, and understand your needs a little bit better. Some customers might choose to deploy us in a VM form or complete cloud form or something that's more physical for their on-premises. So different options. We would love to talk to you first, understand your needs, and get this out to you. And if you need hand-holding, we will do that, give you the hand-holding after that.
All right. Well, excellent. I think that's a great place to end our event today. Thank you so much, Bassam and Drews, for joining us on today's event.
Thank you, Dave. This is fun.
Yeah, we got lots of good questions today from the audience. Before everyone goes out there, I want to point out the handouts that are available for download right there in the GoToWebinar control panel. There's a solutions brief on application filtering intelligence, and there's also a white paper entitled Application Intelligence Done the Right Way. And then you can even download a video demonstration of the Gigamon application filtering right there in the audience console. So go ahead and check those out, share them with your friends and family. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on today's special webinar event. And thank you so much for Gigamon's sponsorship of today's event. For more information, again, visit gigamon.com. Have a great day.